It is 1 p.m. Pacific Time, 2 p.m. Mountain Time, 3 p.m. Central Time, 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 9 p.m. Western European Time, 10 p.m. Central European Time, 11 p.m. Eastern European Time, midnight further Eastern European Time. I am a Swede Speaks, and we are live on YouTube. It's the Norwegian Constitution Day today, so happy Constitution Day, Norway. I will get back to this subject shortly. But first, welcome to all the people here, and God bless you all. I'm very happy about the people who keep showing up in these live streams, and I'm also very happy when new people show up. It's all very good. This is my midweek live stream, which I do either on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, or Thursdays, but I usually do the midweek live stream on Thursdays, always at the same time. I do my Saturday live stream every Saturday at the same time as this one. I may or may not do the midweek live stream, but the Saturday live stream is pretty much set in stone. So remember to check out my live stream on Saturday too. I would like to say a few words about my goals. I have financial goals and non-financial goals. My short-term financial goal is to make $90 a month through Patreon. As of right now, I make $41 per month through Patreon. My long-term goal is $3,000 per month. It might sound optimistic, but why not? My non-financial goal is to create critical mass. Critical mass in favor of Judeo-Christian Western civilization, the civilization that is founded on the roots from Jerusalem, Athens, and Rome, and which was refined by the Anglo-American tradition of liberty, the heritage from Magna Carta and the American Revolution. That's what I'm for, and that's what I want critical mass for. So what am I against? I'm against Marxism and neo-Marxism, including political correctness. I am against Islam, and I am consistently anti-racist. I don't care what people look like, I care about their ideology. Make no mistake about it. Islam is a totalitarian ideology dressed up as religion, and political correctness has paved the way for Islam in the West. So I'm trying to create critical mass in favor of Western civilization and in opposition to political correctness and Islam. That's what I'm about. You may agree or disagree as long as you do it politely. So I want your help. What I do depends on you. Without you, I would not be able to do this. And I'm very grateful for all the people who are praying for me and supporting me financially. So if you want to support my work, you can send a super chat. Just click the little dollar sign under your name and send whichever amount you like. All super chats will be read out loud as long as you keep them clean. No racism, no anti-Semitism, no cursing, and no incitement to violence, please. And for the record, being anti-Islam is not racism. You can also support my work through Patreon, PayPal, or by buying some of my merchandise. There are links for all of that in the box below this live stream. Also, keep me in your prayers, please. Check out my website, swedespeaks.com. Follow me on Gab and Twitter. There are links for all of that in the box below too. Like this live stream and share it on social media or send it to family and friends. So again, thank you all for being here, and God bless you. And we have, let's see. We have 10 people watching. That's wonderful. So hello to all of you. I see many names I know from before and a few new ones. So that's great. That's wonderful. That's what I want. I want people to come back, and I want people to find this, well, this live stream. So let's look at the first story. As I said, today it's May 17th, 2018. That means it's Constitution Day here in Norway. Yes, for anyone who doesn't already know this, I am originally from Sweden, and I live in Norway since 2006. Constitution Day, May 17th, as most Norwegians call it, plain and simple, 17. Mai, is a big thing in Norway. Everybody celebrates, one way or the other. Downtown Oslo is always full of people on this day. People dress up in traditional regional costumes or put on a dress. You do not show up May 17th in jeans and a t-shirt. Trust me on that one. You just don't do that. And you bring your Norwegian flag. As I have mentioned, there tends to be some fuss over if people should be allowed to bring foreign flags. And I'm completely against bringing foreign flags to the May 17th parade. But I have yet to see anyone actually bringing a foreign flag. You bring a Norwegian flag or no flag at all. In Oslo, school children parade in downtown Oslo, including the road from Parliament to the Royal Palace. It's a sight. The school bring their own banners, they play music, people indulge in hot dogs and ice cream. So if you want to see that, go to Norway on May 17th. but be prepared that it might be more expensive than usual to book a hotel room on that date. So that's a little about how May 17th is celebrated. So why do Norwegians celebrate Constitution Day anyway? I'll give you the short version. The Norwegian Constitution was signed on May 17th, 1814, in Eidsvoll, about 45 miles from Oslo. It was signed by the Norwegian Constituent Assembly at Eidsvoll. Norway declared itself independent, adopted a constitution, and elected the Danish prince Christian Frederick as king. He later became king of Denmark under the name of Christian VIII, but that's a different story. The Norwegian Constitution was inspired by the American Declaration of Independence and by the French Revolution. It was one of the most liberal constitutions in Europe at the time. It was not without flaws, though. Jews, Jesuits, and monkish orders were banned from entering Norway. The constitution was later amended, and Jews were allowed to enter Norway in 1851. Monkish orders were allowed in 1897, and Jesuits were allowed in 1956. Norwegian author Henrik Wergeland fought hard to have, well, what was known as the Jew paragraph abolished. The Constitution declares Norway as an independent and indivisible kingdom, and it guarantees its citizens freedom of religion and freedom of speech. It could be discussed if that is really followed today, but that's what the Constitution intends to do, at least. Christian Frederick did not reign for long. Norway was forced to accept a union with Sweden, a union that lasted until 1905, with the King of Sweden also being King of Norway. Sweden, or the Swedish king, could not rule Norway by autocratic rule, though. The constitution and the Norwegian parliament stopped that. When Norway regained its independence in 1905, a Danish prince, Prince Charles of Denmark, was elected king of Norway, and he adopted the name of Håkon VII, and he took the motto All for Norway, Alt for Norge, a motto that has also been used by his successors Olav V and Harald V, his son and grandson. Norway was occupied by Nazi Germany during World War II, so Norway, having been ruled from Denmark for 4 centuries, then in a forced union with Sweden for almost a century, and occupied by Germany during World War II, really has something to celebrate. Hopefully, Norway will get leaders who realize that Norway needs to be independent, indivisible, and Western. So, happy Constitution Day, Norway. God 17. Mai, as we say in Norwegian. And for the record, leave the EEA, the European Economic Agreement, now. So that was the first thing I wanted to mention, Constitution Day. And we now have 14 people watching. That's great. I'm happy about that. And thank you all for being here. I appreciate your presence a lot. Without you, I wouldn't be able to do this, so thank you. Now, I'd like to talk about free speech, or the lack of free speech. In Canada, the UK, and Austria. In Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, the city of Hamilton has forced a local anarchist group to remove the Circle A anarchist symbol from its headquarters, saying it is hate material, similar to the swastika. So in Canada, hate speech laws are backfiring on the hard left. Isn't that interesting? Funnily enough, local police says that they don't consider the anarchist a hate symbol. Well, of course, that could be discussed. And this is the problem with hate speech laws. You will have to abide by arbitrary rulings by the authorities. Speaking of hate speech laws and lack of freedom of speech, let's have a look at the UK, or more specifically England and Wales. The Sentencing Council for England and Wales has drafted changes to public order offences, including anyone perceived as targeting online quote, protected characteristics, close quote, including, quote, race, sex, disability, sexual orientation, religion or belief, pregnancy and maternity, and gender reassignment, close quote. People being sentenced for this could face up to 6 years in prison. Is this a desperate attempt to silence things like the recent Day for Freedom? Well, I hope there will be days of freedom all over Britain, not only in London, but all over the place. After all, they can arrest and sentence a few, but they can't arrest millions of Britons. So, my dear British friends, be brave. I will visit the UK and report on what's going on when I get a chance. I don't know when that will happen, but I promise you, I will go back to the UK again, of course. However, when Junaya, a British critic of Islam who is half white and half black, reported threats to the police, they told her that they will not investigate the death threats until someone actually tries to kill her. Are we seeing a picture yet? Islam is untouchable in Britain. In Austria, 17 identitarians are to be prosecuted under, quote, a mafia law, close quote. The public prosecutor is accusing the identitarian of forming a criminal organization. In their statement, the prosecutor listed several different actions to prove their case, including a protest in which the group put up a banner on the Graz Green Party headquarters saying, quote, Islamization kills, close quote. You can say what you want about identitarians. I'm clearly not one of them, since I don't care about race, skin color, or ethnicity. But they are absolutely right that Islamization kills, and prosecuting them for things like that is really, really stupid. Plus, I think that they should be allowed to speak, even if I disagree. As I had said before, I draw the line at incitement to violence, which is why I believe that most mosques in the West should be closed down for inciting towards non-Muslims and the wrong kind of Muslims. Think of Sunni versus Shia, Sunni and Shia versus Ahmadiyya, etc. But for merely stating an opinion, which I may agree or disagree with, no, that should be perfectly legal. Shame on you, Austria. But speaking of actual incitement, there was a demonstration against Israel in Oslo, Norway on Tuesday. The demonstration was, by the way, outside the Israeli embassy. Several hundreds of people participated, people from the left and Muslim. Of course, it was shouted things like boycott Israel and free Palestine, but a bunch of men, apparently all of foreign background, also shouted, quote, Khaybar Khaybar Ya Yahud, close quote, which literally means Khaybar Khaybar you Jews. It is a reference to a massacre of Jews committed by the so-called Prophet Muhammad at the Khaybar oasis in the year 628. Among the organizers of the protest were several unions, youth associations, and the political parties of the Socialist Left Party, the Red Party, Rødt, and the Oslo branch of the Labour Party. All of these parties are represented in parliament, by the way. So the left, they have an unholy alliance with you bashing Muslims. Well, I'm not surprised, but it is sad. The left really should study what happened to the Iranian left after the Islamic Revolution. And we have 16 people in here. That's great. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate your presence greatly, because without you, I would not be able to do this. So thank you, and feel free to support my work, to like, to share, to do all of that good stuff. And you know, Ramadan started yesterday, and this year's Ramadan Bombathon has so far demanded 20 deaths. It's horrible and it's expected. But of course, this doesn't stop the Church of Sweden from wishing happy Ramadan. I guess they didn't hear about Muluta Kusaifa, a convert from Islam to Christianity in Uganda, who was murdered by Islamic extremists on April 1st. After murdering Kusaifa, they mutilated his body. The Church of Sweden should highlight things like this instead of wishing happy Ramadan. Seriously. Also, speaking of Islam and how it affects people, a recent study shows that 93% of migrant sex crimes in Finland are committed by migrants from Islamic countries. So, what about Norwegian Christians? Are they saner than the Church of Sweden? And yes, it could be discussed whether the Church of Sweden really is Christian, but here it comes. A leader of the Norwegian Christian Student Association wants to give away holidays to Islam, to the women's movement, and to the environmental movement. This proposition comes from Ingvild Yrke, leader of Norway's Christian Student Association. Well, could someone save Norway from these leftists posing as Christians? And the same goes for the Church of Sweden. There is a saying among Christians in Sweden. Earlier, people left the church because they didn't believe in God. Now they leave the church because they believe in God. I assume that not only has the Church of Sweden been subverted by leftists, this has apparently happened to the Norwegian Christian Student Association too. And by the way, if there are any Norwegians watching, God 17 Maj, Happy Constitution Day. I like the flag, really. So let's not forget about Israel winning the Eurovision Song Contest. I have yet to hear the song, so I can't comment on the song in itself. But I know that the winners of that contest are usually not the kind of songs I like. But the reactions to the Israeli win, they are interesting. In Sweden, the Young Left, which is the youth branch of the Left Party, in Malmö demands that Israel shouldn't be allowed to participate in the song contest. And in Norway, a union called Fagforbundet, which literally means the trade union, and the Palestine Committee both made similar demands. I actually get that people say that Israel is not a part of Europe. Neither is Turkey, except for a very small part of that country. Both participate in a song contest. However, the fact that they are making these demands after an Israeli win, well, to me it speaks for itself. They just can't take that Israel wins and that next year the song contest will be in Jerusalem. That's what this is about. So I should say a few words about the Swedish Utopia. Or, well, it's not really Utopia at all. I guess you know that Sweden used to be portrayed as a model nation a few decades ago. Well, lately, the Swedish currency has fallen. It recovered a little, but just a little. The welfare state is cracking, and housing prices are falling, especially in Stockholm. Also, I believe that there is a brain drain from Sweden. I intend to look into Swedish statistics next week, and hopefully I will be able to comment more on this then. Right now, I'm just mentioning it. In any case, it should be good for me to look this up since I'm writing a book about Sweden called Understanding Sweden, and since I comment on Sweden, among other things, for some online publications. Last but not least, there's a strike going on at the public broadcaster NRK in Norway. NRK is extremely left-wing, and 1,700 journalists, or should I call them license payer-funded propagandists, are on strike, demanding higher wages. I saw a figure of some journalists making roughly $60,000 a year at NRK, and they apparently employ at least 1,700 journalists. Seriously, I could do their job for half of that, and I would do it better. Sorry if it sounds arrogant, but I think that's the truth. So, well, those were today's stories. Thank you all for being here, all the 21 of you. And by the way, I'm very impressed by how loyal many of you were during my last live stream on Saturday when I had all these sound issues. Thank you for being such a loyal crowd. Thank you for participating and returning to these live streams. I couldn't do this without you. So I'm very grateful about that. And I'll have a look at the live stream now for a while and see what's going on. Lisa Leto says, an Islamic ad named Hadith preceded this live stream. Oh, that's hilarious. You know, maybe that should offend me or something, but actually, I think it's kind of funny if I'm able to receive any kind of ad revenue from things like that. Because, well, in that case, they're kind of funding their enemy. So I think that's funny, actually. Maybe I shouldn't, but, well, I find it hilarious. Let's see. Delta Mail says, a hero speaks. Okay, is that me? Thank you. And D Duffy 60 says, thank you for the news. Well, thank you for watching. Let's see. CXY Ativari says, thank you, Swede. Well, thank you for watching. AMV Sensei says, I'm French and you, I speak English. Well, I guess, well, I'm originally Swedish. I live in Norway. Charles Keatington says, I once got an ad for an Islamic dating site in my Facebook newsfeed. Oh, that's hilarious. Paula P says, I had a family gathering Saturday and missed out. Well, maybe you can watch the live stream. Well, this Saturday. Let's see. Three Tanker says prediction for the election 2018. That really could go both ways. I hope that the Sweden Democrats will get good numbers. I've been seeing polls going sort of both directions. I mean, I've been expecting them to get at least 20%, and I've seen a lot of polls where they are down at 18 and stuff like that. Then I saw a recent one where they're up at 23. So we'll see. I don't know. And I have to tell people to vote for them. And I think basically the Sweden Democrats are social democrats, and the rest of the parties are all neo-left. So, but at least Sweden Democrats tend to get they tend to get Islam right, and that's kind of a deal breaker for me. So the thing is, I think they need at least 40% or something like that to be able to do some actual change, to actually influence Swedish politics. But at some point, this alliance of the other 7 parties who are trying to keep them out, they will at some point crack. The question is, how large do they need to become? I mean, we could look at what happened in Denmark with the Danish People's Party, Dansk Folkeparti. When they started growing, at some point the other parties couldn't keep them out anymore. I think in Sweden it needs to be. It's harder to do that in Sweden, but at some point it's got to happen. Assyrian King says, Swede, the Council of Ex-Muslims Great Britain are gathering in front of Saudi embassy tomorrow. That would be nice to watch. Oh, thank you for telling me. I hope I'll be able to watch that. Do you know if they will live stream it or something? That would be that's wonderful. Joe Max says, should have said you want a pork eating girl. Yeah. Yeah, that's kind of a deal breaker too, I think. Dogbert52 says, I know nothing about Sweden, but I'm guessing mainstream politicians will pretend to be harsh to steal votes from those Sweden Democrats. Actually, yeah, they've been trying that for a while now. Both the Social Democrats and the moderates are, well, they're the pseudo-conservative party. Both of them have they try to sound tough, but I don't trust any of them. And the thing is, let's say the Social Democrats form a government, and let's say they will have a majority or sort of majority with the left-wing parties. Well, they can't do they can't do any of these they can't carry out any of these harsh measures, because then the left party and the Green Party will object and say, no, we won't help you with that. And they can't ask anyone from the other side to help them either, because they can't. And if the moderates would form a government with the other alliance parties, the so-called non-socialist parties, and they keep the Sweden Democrats out, the same thing happens there. Then the center party will say, we can't do that. We have to keep the borders open. So basically, I would be happy if the moderates formed a government with the Sweden Democrats, or if the Social Democrats did that even, or you have to bring, well, one way or the other, they have to start talking to the Sweden Democrats. Stephen Cray says, never trust a politician. I agree completely. Paula P says, are there any Republican types there? You mean in Sweden? There are a few, but I don't think you'll find. I don't know if you will find even one of them in Parliament. Free Tanker says, don't you think the Social Democrats will turn around and propose change on migration? The Danish Social Democrats already did. Yeah, you're right. The Danish Social Democrats kind of sound like the Sweden Democrats these days. I think the problem with the Social Democrats in Sweden they are divided into what you might call a leftist fraction and a not so leftist fraction. And if the Social Democrats, if they are too harsh, they will lose something like half of the party. Which, by the way, that would probably be good for them. But yeah, I don't see that happening in the Social Democrats for the time being. If they did that, which I hope they do, then they will lose a large part of the party. Larry Sistan says, big terrorist warnings in Australia due to jihad bombings in Indonesia. Oh, was that where it happened? I just checked out the Ramadan Bombathon statistics at the religionofpeace.com website. Yeah, Syrian King says, La Resistance, it is Ramadan. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sadly that's the case. Or sadly, Ramadan means more violence, not less. I mean, I'm Christian. We don't start doing crazy stuff during Easter or Christmas. We just celebrate and wish people happy Easter or happy Christmas. And we might tell them why we celebrate, that they should remember our Lord and Savior. But we don't do any crazy stuff. But again, as I said, I think Islam basically is a totalitarian ideology dressed up as religion. And I guess I should quote that I don't remember his name, but you know this was he Egyptian? Uh, the Imam who, in the Muslim Brotherhood who said that if it wasn't for the death penalty for leaving Islam, Islam would fall apart. Dogbert52 says the riots in Gaza always start before Ramadan in order to raise funds. That's interesting and not surprising. La Resistance says, come on guys, it's because they are low on sugar due to fasting. Actually, I think you have a point there. I don't know if that's meant as a joke or something, but you do have a point because people fasting who don't eat during the entire day, they will be easier to annoy. So that's kind of that kind of helps to get them to do well crazy stuff, to start killing people or whatever. I did see a story from Denmark with a guy who was driving into a crowd of people running at some running competition. The Danish paper Ekstra Bladet, they were kind of unspecific. They only said he was 29 years old and of a different ethnic background. I wonder if that's a code word for Muslim. But there was something that happened yesterday. I should look into that. Or well, the article didn't say much. Assyrian King says Swede. That's true. Okay, good. Charles Keatington says wishing Merry Christmas and Happy Easter is offensive. Yeah, you're right, it is. But the White House started wishing Merry Christmas again. Isn't that great? Charles Keatington says that's not easy in northern Sweden though. There will be no darkness there during summer. Yeah, well, I've heard that Muslims fasting in the areas where there is no darkness at all, they have some kind of exemption rule so they can follow Mecca or Oslo or Stockholm or something like that. Apparently, they are not really agreeing on that either, but they have some kind of rule that says that they are allowed to break the fast at some point. Lisa Leto says, I heard they eat all night and sleep all day. Yeah, I've heard that that's what's going on in the Islamic countries. I guess in a place like Norway or Sweden, that could be a little more difficult. Or I mean, it depends. If they work for a living, that will be a problem because let's say you're a devout Muslim and you're a bus driver or something. You still have to drive the bus during the day, and that's actually a traffic hazard. By the way, it was pointed out. Was it last year? I think in Norway. Well, someone pointed it out last year or the year before that in Norway about how these people turned into a security risk because they wouldn't eat or drink during all day and they might be driving buses or trucks or something like that. Yo, Max says that's because they don't work. Well, a lot of them don't. That's true too. But some do. And some of them turn into traffic risks or just security risks in general, even if they're not going to commit any terror in itself, because, well, not all, hashtag not all Muslims, but they will still be a security risk if they don't eat or drink during all day. CXY Ativari says, like the Muslim astronaut on the space shuttle, how do you bow facing Mecca in space? He got some exemption. Yeah, they usually have some kind of exemptions. La Resistance says, they eat at dawn and immediately at sunset. No chance of any suffering. Well, I've heard that some Muslims actually gained weight during Ramadan because well, they won't eat during the when it's light outside, but once the darkness comes, they will indulge. So I mean, to me as a Christian, that's kind of cheating. If you're gonna fast, you fast. Uh, I mean, I've tried fasting before Easter for the last 2 years, and I'm telling you, you don't fast from everything, but you decide on something to fast from, and that is a real challenge. Dogbird52 says, or eating like mad at iftar. Yeah, that too. Duffave60 says, I like your coffee cup. Oh, good. I like it too. And well, I might be the only one in Oslo who's got one of these. I found it in a tourist shop, not in Oslo. CXY Atiyavari says, when I fast for Easter, I fast day and night. Exactly, that's my point. And for the last 2 years, I've fasted from candy and similar things because, well, you should fast from something that's that takes a lot of place in your life. And I do have a sweet tooth, so and I realize this year I was like, why am I doing this? But I know why. Uh, I do it to get closer to the Lord instead of depending on, well, external things. Uh, but the point is, when I fast, for instance, I won't have candy at any time of the day. Well, I'll have it on Sunday because you don't fast on Sundays. But so it's different. Stephen Cray says, in the UK, we have to restrict unemployment benefits for families to only 2 children paid for. Any more than that, and it's your problem. That will sort out the Muslim birth rate. I think it would help at least. I'm not sure if it would sort it out completely, but it would help. Um, I was told I have a friend who lives in Estonia. I met him in December, and I was in Tallinn. I've been in Tallinn a few times, the capital of Estonia. And if you go through downtown Tallinn, you won't see a single hijab. It's very rare. And he said to me, "Well, Estonia follows the EU rules. They open their borders, but no one, but the migrants don't want to stay in Estonia because when you come to Estonia, and if you get status as asylum seeker and you ask for benefits, well, then they'll give you whatever they are giving an Estonian citizen, which is not a lot. So if they go there and they figure this out, they try to go to Sweden or Finland instead." Hilton 11,000, hello to you. I see you're commenting. Let's see. You say something about BitChute channel. I think I registered an account there, but I haven't started uploading anything. I think I did just to make sure my name was there. I need to figure out how it works. As of right now, I have this channel on YouTube, and I have a channel on minds.com. I put up things at minds.com as much as possible, but but minds.com have some limitations. You can only put up videos to a length of 15 minutes. You can't live stream. There are some of that stuff, but I still have that as kind of a, well, you need to be in different places. Let's put it that way. But absolutely, I'll need to look into that. I don't know when it's going to happen though. It's a lot of There's a lot of things I need to look into. Akt Peterha says, have you considered calling in on ABL again? It's a great way of informing the American public on what's happening in Europe. Absolutely. I'll try to call in on Saturday. Oh, so you found me over there? That's great. Stoffe Hallberg says tjena, which means hello or something like that. Well, tjena. Hello to you too. Hilton 11,000 says, sorry, Swede, I was talking to someone else. Oh, that's great. No problems. Okay, D Duffy 60 says, that's true. Okay, I'm not sure what's true, but that's great. And you know, if you're watching this after it's been live streamed, well, feel free to send it to people then too. Send it to anyone who needs to watch it. Okay, maybe not to really crazy people, but the other ones, the ones who are at least borderline sane. William Marshall says, hello everyone. Well, hello to you too. And thank you for joining. Joe Max says, Swede is always on ABL. Yeah, well, I wasn't there on Wednesday because I was busy, but otherwise I try to call in more. Yeah. Let's see. Assyrian King says, Swede, can you show some videos from Hyde Park Corner if I send them to you? In theory, yes, but I don't know how to solve that. Technically. Laurie Sistan says, "What is ABL again?" ABL is Anthony Brian Logan, who is well a black American conservative YouTuber and well things like that. Dogber52 says, "Swede, what do you make of Stefan Molyneux?" Well, I may not agree with him all the time, but I agree with him, well, in some things. And I have noticed that he used to be a hard atheist, but he's kind of moving away from that. So I think, well, he says some good things, and some things I may not agree with. But I haven't watched his videos for a while though, because well, I've been busy. So I try to watch as much as I can, but you know, I've only got 24 hours a day, and I need to sleep. So I've noticed there are stuff that I just don't get to watch anymore. Paula P says, great channel, love ABL. Well, so do I. Oh, Bull Like a Leopard is here. What's up? Oh, hello to you. Well, what's up? It's Constitution Day in Norway. That's nice. And we have some free speech issues around the world. In Canada, in the UK, in Austria. And of course, there are issues like that in Norway and Sweden too. And in Finland, I think. I think so. I think we have at least one Finnish viewer who could inform us. A Pinochet says, hello, Swede. Oh, hello to you too. Thank you for joining us. Alice says, Stefan is a cryboy. I don't know. Maybe he's more dramatic than I am in one way. I mean, in one way, my impression is that he's trying to seem calm and stuff like that. But, well, I have noticed that he gets this tone in his voice. So I guess you could say that. But hey, Stefan M says some good things. Yeah, he says some good things. I may not agree all the time, but hey, I don't know if there's anyone I agree with all the time. I agree with some of it. Patcon 101 says Stefan has recently become a flat earther. That sounds. I don't know if I trust you on that. That would be interesting, but I find that difficult to believe in. Assyrian King says, Swede, I'm looking forward to see the joint live broadcast with you and Make Britain Great Again. Well, so am I. They sent me an email to which I responded, so now I'm waiting to see what we can work out. But I'm sure it will be wonderful. William Marshall says, I believe the England flag has been banned at football matches, but I have not looked into it yet. I saw some updates from Make Britain Great Again about flags being banned. I didn't know it was the England flag. I assumed it was the British flag, the Union Jack, but I didn't have the time to watch these videos because I was busy preparing for this live stream. Stoffe Hallberg says, "What do you kind of think about the U.S. Army?" Oh, I think they're great. Short version, I think they're great. Paula P says, "Is Make Britain Great Again a channel?" Yes, it is. I think they call themselves Red Pill something / Make Britain Great Again. If you type in "Make Britain Great Again" in the search engine at YouTube, you should find it. But don't do that right now because I want you to watch this one. But you could open a different window, of course. D Duffy 60 says, "I want to see more free speech marches." Agreed. And I want to see them all over Britain. I want to see them in Sweden, in Norway, in Germany, in Austria. I want to see free speech marches all over Western Europe. Maybe they should have them in Central Europe too, just to make sure that their leaders know that they need to protect free speech. But in any way, as I said, the authorities can go after a few people. Okay, I'll respond to this first. Stoffe Hallberg says, "Good night." Oh, good night to you too. And thank you for joining us. So have a nice evening. As I said, the authorities, they can arrest a few people. They can sentence some people. But at some point, there will just be too many of them, too many of us. I mean, they could arrest maybe 1,000 British citizens, maybe 100,000, I don't know. But let's say there were 10 million people in Britain marching for freedom. They can't arrest that many people. At some point, it will just be too many of us. So, I mean, isn't basically that what's happened in East Germany when the Berlin Wall fell down? All the people shouting, "Wir sind die Leute," we are the people. They just couldn't deal with it anymore because the resistance was too hard for them. And what needs to happen in Western Europe, in Canada, in places like this now. We need to stand up for free speech. D Duffy 60 says, "Free speech is under attack in the United States also." Yes, it is. But well, there's a difference between Western Europe and Canada on one side and the United States on another side. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but this is what it looks like to me. In Western Europe and in Canada, it's the government doing it. It's the authorities that goes after you. But in the United States, it's more of private corporations like Facebook, Twitter, Google that tries this stuff. But the government doesn't. At least not the federal government. Like when they had this hearing with Mark Zuckerberg in Congress. But I know, okay, there are individual states. I think the state of California, they are doing some nasty stuff, but they can't win that in the Supreme Court, or at least that's my opinion. But absolutely, even in the United States, of course, you need to be vigilant because the price for liberty is eternal vigilance. I don't remember who said that, but I agree with it wholeheartedly. Assyrian King says, "La Resistance, I know, my darling. Look at the Nordic countries, they all have the cross on them. That's why under attack." Yeah, well, yeah, all the Nordic countries have these cross flags. There's an interesting story about those too. Let's see if I get this right. The Nordic cross flags, they are all modeled after the Danish flag. Because the Danish flag, that was the first Nordic cross flag. And according to the legend, I mean, I wasn't there, so I can't tell you what actually happened, but the legend is this. The Danes went to Estonia to conquer the land. And they conquered Estonia, and while they were fighting at what's today's Tallinn, the Danish flag fell from the sky. So they actually got the flag while they were abroad conquering. And then they modeled the Norwegian flag, the Swedish flag, the Finnish flag, the Icelandic flag. They're all modeled after this one. D Duffy says, "You tell it like it is." Okay, I'm happy to Well, I'm happy to hear that you agree. Or, well, I'm happy to hear that I'm not completely wrong. I guess I'll put it that way. And A. Pinochet says, we're always one generation away from losing our freedom or liberty. Ronald Reagan. Yeah, he was right about that. Absolutely. Charles Kidnington says, we're much closer now. Yeah, especially in Western Europe. I would argue in Western Europe and in Canada, we are very close. D. Duffy says, I'm one of Reagan's soldiers. Oh, that's great. So were you in the US Army when he was president? Or do you mean in some other way? Stephen Cray says, in England, it was on mainstream news today that they want the English flag banned in public in the UK. Oh, that's horrible. Why would you ban the English flag? Is it because it happens to have a cross in it? Well, so do the Union Jack. Joe Max says, Swede, check out the conservative Mexican. He's for California. Is this the guy who called in to Anthony Bryan Logan a few times? Dogbert52 says, well, what the left understands is that it always starts in culture and education. Yeah, they are right about that. That's absolutely true. You know, Andrew Breitbart used to say that politics is downstreams from culture. Well, you could also say that culture is downstreams from metaphysics. But anyway, the left got this. The right kind of didn't get this, and we're paying for that. But actually, the education part, that's why I support homeschooling. And you know, homeschooling is illegal in Sweden. It is legal in Norway. However, if you try to homeschool in Norway and you live in the wrong municipality, you will get the children's care on your doorstep and they will take away your children because apparently the state owns children here. It's legal in Finland. There are a bunch of Swedish homeschoolers who relocated to the Åland Islands, which is a Swedish speaking part of Finland. But since it belongs to Finland and not to Sweden, they can homeschool all they want there. So you actually have homeschooling refugees in Finland from Sweden, and I would argue that they are real refugees because they're actually persecuted in Sweden. Paula P says homeschooling is illegal. Yes, you heard right. Homeschooling is illegal in Sweden because when you homeschool, you won't let the government brainwash your children. I guess I could look for a nicer term, but that's basically what it is. C CXY Ativari says illegal. If I had children, I would definitely homeschool them. I live in the US. Well, so would I. But that means there are a bunch of countries that I can't have children in, including Sweden and Norway. It's just too dangerous. Dogbert52 says, the right is too busy working, the left is educating. That's funny, but it's sad too. Hilton 11,000 says, some of us fly St. David's flag instead of the Welsh dragon. St. David's flag has a cross, black background and yellow cross. I should look into that. Laris Histan says, have to have home births and hide the children. You know, that might actually happen. We might not be there yet, but I'm seeing that might very well happen in the future. Paula P says, that's awful. Yeah, I agree. I would be actually, I would be happy to talk to these Swedish homeschoolers who who moved to Åland, Finland, just to be allowed to homeschool without getting problems with the authorities. I would be happy to speak to any of them. So if anyone knows any of them, tell them to contact me, or otherwise I should try to look into that. Åland is a nice place. I could go there for a few days and talk to some of these people. I don't think I can do that right now, but you know, for future. Right On says, this is such a great broadcast. You can't get this information on promoted content. Oh, thank you. And well, yeah, I guess you're right about that. Uh, I'm not promoted by, well, I'm not promoted by the government. I'm not promoted by any specific business. I have a few. I get a little revenue from ads, not much, and I get some. some money through Patreon. That's wonderful. And some people donate through PayPal and stuff like that. That's all great. But the point is, I say whatever I want to say. And I mean, I've been saying I would prefer 1,000 patrons that give me $3 each over one patron giving me $3,000. Of course, if someone would do that, I'd be happy about that. But because the thing is, I will say things that will annoy some of you. That will happen, and it might annoy someone much enough to make them say, "I'm not going to give you any more money." That will happen if I have 1,000 people donating through Patreon or through some other service, and I annoy five of them, I lose $15. If I have five people donating $600 each and I annoy five of them, I lose everything. You see what I mean? Right on says grassroots channels like this are the best. Thank you. Thank you very much. There was something else here too that was interesting. Charles Keatingson says, well, yeah, I think he's talking about how pregnant women have been going to Finland to give birth from Sweden because the sad state of Swedish healthcare. And that's another thing. I haven't mentioned it today, but I guess I'll mention it now. Back in 2016, there were some statistics on healthcare lines in Europe. I don't know if Russia was counted as Europe, but apart from that, I don't know about that. But the country with the longest healthcare lines was Albania. Number 2 on the list was Sweden. I guess it was per capita or something like that, as proportion of their population. I guess so, but yeah. But anyway, so the Swedish Utopia doesn't look that good anymore. D. Duffy 60 says the state of Alabama outlawed UN Agenda 21 back in 2012 when we don't have a lot of the problems other states have. What kind of problems or yeah, please feel free to tell us more about that, Mr. Duffy. Assyrian King says Swede for next Swedish PM. Vote Swede. Oh, that's wonderful. Actually, I don't know if I would be that good a politician. I've tried party politics, but I have a real problem fitting in. I mean, as of today, I don't belong to any party. I mean, I sympathize with parties every now and then. I sympathize with politicians every now and then, but I don't belong to any party because in a party you have to follow the party line, especially in Western Europe. I don't think you need to follow the party line as much in the US, but in the Western Europe you really have to do that because of parliamentarianism, which I'm kind of opposed to. But anyway, so the thing is, if I would belong to one specific party, I'll get in trouble because I can't keep my mouth shut. And someone from the party would watch this live and then would say, well, you said this and that and that, and we don't like that. And maybe we think so, but we shouldn't tell the voters. And yeah. But hey, absolutely. I could do the Swedish Prime Minister's job, as I say, for half his pay. I'd be willing to do that, but okay, Sweden has a lot of problems, so that would be, yeah. Stephen Cray says, start your own party. Yeah, well, I don't know what's going to happen in the future. What I'm trying to do right now, I'm trying to inform, to debate, and sort of my main goal here is to sort of create a community to help create critical mass. And I mean, I'm not the only one doing this. There are other people doing similar things. You have Freedom Alternative in Romania. You have Anthony Bryan Logan in the States. You have Make Britain Great Again. You have a lot of people doing this, a lot of people shipping in. And we're not all the same. We're a little different, but we're still kind of doing the same thing, basically. And I'm not really competing with any of them. I think we're doing the same thing and we're all trying to push the same way. So actually, I want more people to do this. I mean, honestly. But of course, I want as many subscribers as possible. Of course. I mean, that's always nice. I'm not going to lie. Joel Ulrich says, Are they really serious about changing the Swedish flag to the Islamic flag? Is that nonsense or some truth? I haven't really heard about that right now. There has been some discussion about removing the cross. I think that was the Liberal Youth. I mean, the youth organization of the Liberal Party, which basically is a left Liberal Party. I think they a few years ago. Akt Peterha says, just noticed your new account on Gab. Perhaps it's worth mentioning it so viewers here start following too. Absolutely. Thank you for pointing that out. I have mentioned it a few times, but absolutely. Absolutely. That's great that you pointed out again. So if anyone missed it, well, you heard our Finnish friend. Check out my account at Gab. And there's a link in the box below for, well, all of my social media, including Gab and Twitter. Joe Max says Tommy Redpill is starting his own party here in New York. Oh, he's in New York. I thought he was in Britain, but maybe he moved to America. Or wait, Tommy Redpill. I might be confusing him. Yeah, I'm confusing him with someone else. Tommy Redpill is the, well, he's a New Yorker of Italian background or something like that. Is that him? Uncle Tommy Redpill. Is that him? I was thinking about Red Pill Black. I mixed them up in my mind. Red Pill Black is a black British guy who was at the Day for Freedom, I think. And he's also had some. He's been in some contact with Peter Sweden. I still want Peter Sweden to contact me. I hope he'll respond to my latest message. But you know, there are many people I want to talk to. Some of them respond. Hilton 11,000 says two Brits, Red Pill Phil. Yeah, that's the other one. That's the one I confused with Uncle Tommy Red Pill, who's an American. So he started a party. That's interesting. Oh yeah, Larry Sistan says Red Pill Black is Candace Owens. Yeah, there are all these Red Pill people. There are so many of us now. And I mean, I wasn't planning on addressing this today, but we're also seeing sort of a rising movement among Black Americans where you most still follow the Democratic Party, but you have a bunch of people who are questioning this and who are moving in a more conservative way, and I think that's wonderful. And there's been some debate about Candace Owens and her past, and that's legitimate. But I mean, you could debate my past too, and there were some things there that I wish I hadn't done. But anyway, and I noticed when she was starting to move more to the conservative side, she would still say that she was pro-abortion. And I saw a tweet from her recently where it sounded like she had changed her position on that, and she said that you can't have legalized murder. So I'm like, okay, something's going on here. She's moving more to the right. That's great. Assyrian King says, I had respect for Red Pill Black Guy, but after he supported Lucy, I'm not sure. Lucy who? I missed that story, so I don't know. And, well, you know, you may not agree with people all the time either, so I don't know. Who is this Lucy person? Apparently that's a big deal. D. Duffy 60 says, the American citizens are waking up, and mainstream doesn't like it. Oh yeah, absolutely. They know the mainstream media. I think the mainstream media in the US, they're kind of doomed, and I think they know it. Lisa Leto says, "How's it going with your book?" Oh, it's going great, or I mean, it's going good. I need to get some stuff written again, but I have some stuff that's in the line for being proofread, so I'm working on it, and I hope to be able to release the book well before September 9th, because that's when the Swedish general election is. So I would like to release the book before that. Lucy Brown, assistant to Tommy, Assyrian King says, assistant to Tommy Robinson. Okay, Tommy Robinson fired Lucy. Okay, I guess I have to I guess I have to look into this Lucy person because I missed that story completely. Lucy was Tommy Robinson's promoter who sold out to Ali Dawa. Stephen Craig. Oh, okay, I could see that. Yeah, okay, okay. Supporting that person sounds like a bad decision. Let's see. Dogbert52 says, I hope foreign media interviews you as soon as possible when you release your book. That would be wonderful. And you know, if Tucker Carlson calls, or Ezra Levant, or Tommy Robinson, or whoever, I'll be happy to talk to them. And even if it would be some media I don't really like, say the RT calls, say the Swedish television calls, I'll talk to them anyway, and I'll give them a piece of my mind while I'm at it. That would be interesting. A. Pinochet says, yep, the leftist media is freaking out and stooping to new lows trying to protect their organizations. Yeah, I think there's a difference between Western Europe and the United States here, because in Western Europe, in a lot of these countries, we have all of these laws that give taxpayer money to the mainstream media. I don't think it happens that much in well in the United States. Not as far as I know. I could be wrong here, but and that kind of makes the mainstream media in the US, they're a lot more exposed to losing viewers or losing readers than the mainstream media in Western Europe because they'll get money from the taxpayers instead. I think that's what's going on. Uh, Charles Keatington says Ali Dawa really got a hang up. A Muslim crying over the fact that he got, did not go to talk at an event for freedom of speech. One cannot make that stupid up. Oh, I see. Yeah. Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, kind of. D. Duffy says you got that right. Well, I'm happy if I'm getting things at least half right or three quarters right. Dogbert52 says Tucker, that could be a shocker to the Swedish system. Oh, that would be great. And actually, I looked into it. You know, with a name like Tucker Carlson, I was thinking he might have Swedish ancestry. And I was able to find out that his great grandfather was actually from Sweden. I don't think I wrote any of it down. I just looked it up online. But yeah, I should actually write it down somewhere. I found it hilarious. Because every time when I'm in America and people ask me where I come from, and I tell them the short version, and the short version goes like this: I'm from Sweden, I have partially Finnish ancestry, and I live in Norway. And they'll say, okay, you're Scandinavian. I have Scandinavian ancestry. A lot of people will tell me that. Dogbert52 says, Danish ancestry, he said. Well, I guess he could have Danish ancestry too, but I'm pretty sure I was able to identify his Swedish ancestor. But I mean, sure, if he says he's got Danish ancestry, then I'm sure he does. So, yeah, well, since we're all here, uh, how has your week been so far? I'm actually out of coffee. That hasn't happened before. Stephen Cray says, busy, busy, busy. Hilton 11,000 says, sunny every day. Yeah, I don't know about the UK, since well, you're both in the UK as far as I know. But but in Scandinavia, we went straight from winter to summer. Maybe we had 1 or 2 days of spring, and then we went straight to summer. So that's kind of a shocker. But I mean, that happens. Maybe not every year, but it happens often. But so I'm kind of trying to adjust to the new temperature. Charles Keaton says, I live involuntarily in Sweden. Isn't that answer enough? Yeah, I'm sorry. I guess it is. So yeah, yeah, that says a lot right there. Uh, so what do you think about my mix of stories from different parts of Europe and the world? Dogbert52 says, been to the new US embassy in Jerusalem. Lovely location. Yeah, I have to go look at that too. I don't know when I'll be able to go to Jerusalem, but I will. I mean, God willing, I will. A. Pinochet says, been reading Explaining Postmodernism by Stephen Hicks. That sounds interesting. And Stephen Cray says, it's cold in Lincolnshire, UK for past 2 days. Joel Ulrich says, springtime is beautiful, but yes, short moving right into summer. Yeah, it goes fast. Less than a month ago, we had uh, we had gangs in Oslo that were throwing snowballs at the police, and now it's summer. They can't throw snowballs now. They'll throw something else, I'm sure. Joe Max says Trump Plaza in Jerusalem or somewhere else. I've seen Trump Towers in Chicago. Always something. I think there's actually a video on this channel where where I have Trump Towers in the background. Dogbert52 says, snowball gangs, ha ha ha. Assyrian King says, they throw grenades, Swede. Well, that's in Sweden. We haven't had hand grenade attacks in Norway yet, and I hope we won't get any either, but there's been gangs fighting each other with machetes in downtown Oslo. Stuff like that has happened. When it comes to these rape stories from Sweden, well, sort of the outside, what's the word? Well, the attack rapes. Well, was it last year or the year before that when they tried to make up a story about how the heat increased the number of rapes because it was hot outside? It was just a crazy, stupid story. But yeah, that's what they've been saying. And of course, claiming stuff like that, that's just stupid. Paula P says, I have to go. Thanks, Swede, for all your hard work. Well, okay. Have a nice day or a nice evening, and thank you for thank you for joining us. Stephen Cray says, media is trying to normalize migrant attacks by not reporting them. I say report them all. Uh, you mean in the UK? I mean, that happens in Sweden too, of course, and in Norway. Although in Norway, we have this interesting phenomenon of Norwegian alternative media, uh, especially Reset.no. They were not the first ones, but they really been able to sort of get through the media filter or something like that. I mean, they're hated by the mainstream media, but they have a lot of people reading their stuff. I've had a few articles on their site, and well, I intend to write more articles for them. Sometimes about Sweden, sometimes about Norway, sometimes about other things. I wrote something on the UK a few months ago. I wrote something about Finland, but anyway, the point is, and Reset will, well, they will report on things that the mainstream media aren't really interested in reporting on. Dogbert52 says, when you get animals used to being attacked, you create pent up violence, which eventually explodes. That's what the mainstream media doesn't get. Yeah, I think the mainstream media, and not only them, but the entire system, they're kind of creating a really dangerous situation. I mean, if we look at Britain, my impression of Britain, I mean, I don't live in Britain, but my impression from abroad is that Britain is sort of at a breaking point. And I'm sure some of you British people could correct me on this, but to me it looks like the Brits are getting fed up and they're willing to fight back. And that's why we have stuff like the Football Lads Alliance, like the Day for Freedom, and hopefully you will be able to turn Britain around before it's too late. That's why I'm telling you, be brave. You have my full support, and I intend to go back to Britain again. I don't know when that's going to happen, but I intend to go back to Britain again to, well, to report on what's going on and to talk to some of the people involved. Whoever I can get hold of who is, well, at least reasonably sane, I'll be happy to talk to them. But the point is, it looks like Britain are at the breaking point now. Yeah, I see a few of my British friends here are agreeing with me. Stephen Cray says, we are indeed, momentum is growing. And the Syrian king says, Swede, we're already fighting back full power. Yeah, exactly, that's my point. And I guess that's also the reason why they are trying to impose these really harsh laws, where they are saying that if you criticize Islam online, you risk getting thrown in jail for 6 years. Uh, I guess that's why, and it will clash, and hopefully the right people will win. Charles Keatington says, unfortunately, a Swede speaks, and I will soon not be allowed to get into the UK. Yeah, that's an obvious risk. A. Pinochet says, people are trying to remain peaceful, but I don't know how long this will last. Yeah, that's exactly my point. And I see both Assyrian King and Stephen Cray saying Deus vult. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, D. Duffy says that's unjust. I'm not sure of what you're referring to right now, but if you mean the proposed British law that could throw people into prison for criticizing Islam or, well, or political correctness, yeah, I agree. Dogbert52 says the Turkish Sultan will flood Europe if he doesn't get paid. Exactly. Yeah. And you know what I think should be done about that? Close the border to Turkey. And I mean, I agree. We can't let Greece take the hit by themselves. We should all help out. Send people to help Greece to close the border. That's absolutely what should be done. I think all of Europe, or at least the sane European countries, should help out closing the border to Turkey. And to get from Turkey into Europe, basically you should need a visa, and there should be extremely hard vetting to get that. Let's see. Assyrian King says, where is there it is? Swede, I think we should now travel to each other's countries to march together for a better result. Absolutely, absolutely. Uh, as long as I have the time and money, I will. Dogbert52 says, sadly, Turkey has the second strongest army in NATO. Yeah, that's sad. And actually, I'm hoping that NATO will kick Turkey out. We'll see what happens. I think there might be something going on with the signals coming from both Trump and Netanyahu. I hope they're preparing to get rid of Turkey. A. Pinochet says, yes, the eastern countries need to protect each other's borders, and especially the Turkish border. Absolutely. And actually, I think all Western countries have a mutual interest here. So if Canada or the US wants to send soldiers to protect the Turkish-Greek border, please do so. Dogbert52 says, God willing, you're right about Turkey. Yeah, well, I think so. Yeah, thank you. Charles Keatington says, Stephen Cray, I follow him on Twitter, I guess it's Tommy Robinson, and I have his book. And I write a lot about Islam on both Facebook and Twitter. Well, not so much on Facebook right now, since I'm temporarily banned. Again, point, point, point. Yeah. Uh, yeah, well, you get kicked off Facebook all the time because you write stuff that, well, you commit all of this wrong speech. I don't know what's going on with you, or, well, I know what's going on. Larisistan says, what the heck is Turkey doing in NATO anyway? Well, I think they considered Turkey kind of a modern country when it was more or less a military dictatorship. And, well, Turkey was born in a really bloody war, and they killed off Assyrians and Greek and, well, Armenians. But the army in Turkey, when they were in power, they were able to keep Islam sort of down. But now it's all exploded and Turkey is becoming Islamized again, and it's horrible. A. Pinochet says, what do you think about Soros being kicked out of Hungary? Oh, I think that's great. Or, I mean, was he really kicked out, or what happened there, really? I saw that one of. There's a. What do you call it? A YouTuber called Dr. Steve Turley, I think. He reported some about that, but I haven't been able to watch it yet because I didn't have the time. I hope I'll be able to do that later. Assyrian King says, Swede, I'll be on the live broadcast with Make Britain Great Again, so please join me. Uh, I'll check in there later. I intend to stay here for a few more minutes. I usually try to go 75 to 90 minutes, something like that. So actually, we're pretty close to that now. Dogbert52 says, Soros never gives up, just changes names of funds and goes underground. Yeah, he does that stuff. He's not my favorite guy, to put it that way. Joel Uldrich says, Turkey is that one rotten apple ruining the barrel. Yeah, well, Turkey is kind of the successor state to the Ottoman Empire, and all of this, they've been giving us problems for centuries. I mean, I don't expect anything good coming out of Turkey, really. And I mean, of course, there are individual Turks who are fine. That's not what I'm saying. But I don't expect anything good coming out of the Turkish system. And I think we shouldn't be naive about that country. Dogbert52 says he will add some layers of isolation and funnel the money. Funnel? I guess you mean tunnel or something. The money through other NGOs to destabilize Europe, US, and Israel. Yes, he will. And I mean, I'm happy that today I haven't. No one has started to rant about, well, Jewish conspiracies and stuff like that. I'm happy about that. But there's a point about Soros to make here, because there are some people who will bring up the fact that he's ethnically Jewish, and they will use this as some kind of point to make him some kind of key figure in this imagined Jewish conspiracy. Well, the thing about Soros is, first of all, he made his fortune by selling out other Jews to the Nazis, and second of all, he is he is funding Palestinian anti-Israel groups, and I guess also other anti-Israel groups in Israel and all over the world. He's doing a lot of stuff, so he's not a friend of the West, and he's not a friend of Israel. So, since Soros comes up, I just like to point that out. Art Schneider says, "Hi Swede. I think it's a matter of Soros has just given up trying to be at least for the time being, or he's trying to do it in some sneaky way. We'll see. But, well, we need to pray for him too, to turn around. That would be really great. Because, that's what I'm wishing for everyone. I want everyone to turn around and accept Christ. And I hope I'm not offending you people now, but that's what I really want. But as long as they don't, we have to fight their evil actions, of course. So now we've been online for, well, 80 minutes, and it's time to wrap this up. So thank you all for being here today. Thank you for your support, for your comments, for your prayers. Please check out my live stream on Saturday. Also tomorrow, Friday. That means I will upload This Week in Sweden. So check that out tomorrow. And remember to follow me on Gab and Twitter. Check out my website. Share this live stream with friends and family. And until next time, have a nice day and God bless.